Alright guys, back in another video, and this time we're going to be doing a deck profile for my boy Cooler. Last video was Meta Cooler. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. That deck was pretty interesting. I really enjoy it. And I took some time to really make that deck and this deck. But this one has a little more wiggle room. There are a few cards that you can trim down. So I did make it like maximum copies for some cards, so you can trim down on some of those if you'd like, and take in a few other cards. We also don't know what the blue-red secret rare is yet, but I would like to get into the choices that I have here and why. So the leader Cooler, when he attacks, draw a card on the front side, and then on both sides he has the ability, if you minus one of your opponent's bad cards or decrease their power, you get to send the top card of their deck to the graveyard, well, the drop area. So you mill them one every time you decrease the power. So you'll see the ongoing theme of the deck is decreasing power. Also, if it's a battle card and it's your opponent's turn, you draw a card once per turn. So every instance that you decrease the power, you will mill them a card. So if you decrease multiple at one time, you will mill one for each. So if your opponent goes really wide and you play Frieza down there, when he attacks, it minuses everything 30. You'll kill everything, almost. I'm pretty sure everything in the game that would be alive on your turn, besides the Migra, if that ever somehow hits the board, will be dead. So boom, pretty easy like that. So and then awaken, untap one, draw one, pretty easy, 4 less life. Now, same thing on the back side, exactly the same thing. So your leader is very good on both sides. So you have no downside of staying on your front side and trying to stay alive. Now let's get to the card by card. We got 4 Master Roshi, Universe 7 United, and 4 Senzu Beans as your only blue sources that are just blue by themselves. So these cards are just super splashable now, and you could take in Weakest Coercion if you'd like for regular negates that restand energy, but you would like to have some blue cards that you can combo with for Arrival for your Hercule and Majin Buu, Friends Forever, and your Cooler. Now, these are your only 2 Arrival cards, but they both draw you a card in your opponent's turn and mill your opponent. Now, Cooler can, if you don't know what this card does, this card is super good. It's basically your like what your deck's centered around. So whenever it's played, you make them place one immediately. Then if they have 2 battle cards and you hit both of them, you're gonna make them mill another 2 and draw a card. So he replaces himself and in the hand anyways, and then makes your opponent mill 3 just for 1. Now, if you play you can play multiple of these on your opponent's turn. Just like, it doesn't say once per turn. So this card is actually insane. I would love to see the SPR version of this if they give us one. But our luck, they're going to leave it just like that and make it a harder card to get, because the SPR cards are actually pretty easy to get, like both copies if they're an SPR version of it. But yes, I see this as the most highly sought after card when the set first release. Now, Hercule and Majin Buu, as I stated, is like one of the other cards that does the same thing, minus 10 to 1 battle card, and it's a rival for 1 blue. Draw a card, and then you get the minus 10, and draw another card and make the mill 1. So it draws you 2, and also it can return battle cards out of your hand, which is pretty neat. With this card right here, which is an option you can take in, is this Goku. Now, this Goku, when it's counterattacks or when it's played, you get to return a 3-drop or less back to your hand. So you can loop your Majin Buus or your Kaioken counterplays or anything that you want to return back to your hand, which is decent. Just something that you can try out. Now this deck is highly defensive. You haven't noticed. You have a total of 4 Topo, 1 is that all you got, 2 After Image, and 4 Roshi. These are all, and the Frieza here. So 7, 8, 10, 14 counterattacks. And then you have Bean, which is a defensive card in general. This Beerus allows you to withstand energies. And yeah. And this card right here itself, when you can tap energy to minus something, 10k, battle card or leader card. And mill your opponent card every time it does it and draw a card. So this card is super good, and it's a super rare from the set. It's going to be very sought after. But this card is very susceptible to removal, and also is probably not that good in the mirror. Mainly because, I guess if you're going second, it's not very good, because your opponent will have the energies to deal with it very easily. But it could be very clutch in the mirror if you can stick it and then attack. And the thing is, counterplay for this Mach Speed will be very powerful against this card, so I don't expect many people to be playing this in the mirror match, because as soon as you play it, they'll draw a card, but which will help you mill out and help your opponent mill you out. So you're drawing a card, and then your opponent's gonna mill you and kill it and draw a card. So be wary when you're playing this in the mirror match. Is that all you got? Is a decent negate. Also will mill your opponent opponent up to 2 cards. Yeah, and after image, same thing. It can mill your opponent 1 card. So one key card I want to talk about here is, so you got a lot of duels. So your check land is very important, and it also has an ability that will help your opponent get milled out if it comes down to you playing something hard cast. Topo is probably the least important card in the deck, because you do actually want to get your opponent low. So the cards you can cut, if you cannot get a hold of them, because they're pretty expensive currently, are Topo. I'm not saying cut these, but I'm saying if you're trying to be a budget cooler player, you can not play Super Saiyan Vegeta and Topo and then replace it with other cards from the new set, or play Swap Engine, which is very, very viable. So you can play Swap Engine and cut down some of these cards. But I don't think that's the way to go, but you can. These cards are pretty hard to get, but if you're playing red and you know you like red, you should already have Topos and Vegetas. So Vegeta is going to be very key. It can board wipe for -20 and give your leader a bean. Then that bean alone with this Beerus restanding an energy for a super combo, plus another bean, your leader will be at 25 for the turn. So this card's insane. Draws you card, mills them cards, and is just very important for the strategy. And let's see. We're going to talk about this card right here. We are Universe 7. So this card is super powerful. Can add your super combo back to your hand. It can search your deck for your super combo. It can search for Master Roshi. And yeah, this card is super good. I'm not sure if there's any other real targets that you can play in this deck that would make this card relevant, unless you splash yellow, which is also an idea for the future. You can splash yellow for the yellow Roshi and then have some yellow energy for just Champa, the Trickster, and cards like that. But it's probably sideboard material and not necessarily in the main deck. Also, so how we actually play this guy without paying 5, if you're wondering how. You play this counterattack Frieza, costs 2 on your opponent's turn, and then you pay the 3, activate main, play the blue Frieza from your hand on top of it. And so once you play this card, attack, your opponent mills 2 immediately. It's for each one of your things, and then your leader is going to mill them. So you mill 3 cards for every card that he hits. So if your opponent has a big board, it's probably going to deck them out. 3 cards per. So yeah, this deck is pretty straightforward. Stay alive and mill your opponents and arrival on your opponent's turn, and maintain card advantage. So if you do choose to arrival super hard and do a super pressure like style with playing multiple coolers in your early turns, it's going to be really hard for you to maintain a card advantage in your hand. But it probably won't be that big of a deal if it's early game, but your opponent's probably going to try to clear your board and then go for your leader again. So be careful with your willy-nilly play 4 coolers or 3 coolers at a time kind of thing. Probably don't want to do that, because you're going to lose your hand. The deck is very, very it's going to be very prominent in the next format, I believe. It doesn't really have, I can't think of any really horrible matchups, because you draw cards on your front side, you draw cards on your back side, you draw cards on your opponent's turn like Pan. You don't have to awaken. You don't really need to awaken. And if you don't have to kill your opponent, you can just deck them out. And if your opponent is offset, the mill from this leader is just offsetting what your opponent wants to do normally. Even with the update in set 10, where you can play up to 60 cards in your main deck, that probably only helps this deck by being able to get this deck have more options. And it doesn't really. And if your opponent's playing a more inconsistent deck, it's going to hurt them in the end, and that offset is going to hurt every now and then. And it's going to be hard. The only real problem this deck would probably have is Victory Strike, and it really doesn't, because you have After Image, and you have the ability to -10 everything, and you can -20 it. There's so many outs, so like everything. Now, counterplays will hurt this deck, like Hidden Potential. Almost everything in this deck is hurt by Hidden Potential, besides this. So everything is that can be hit by him, and we also haven't seen the secret area yet. I'm assuming the secret area will help the strategy specifically, or the Universe 7 specifically. So we're not sure if we're gonna have to make room for that. But if worst comes to worst, we drop a topo for it. So thank you guys for watching once again. And if you guys want to see a specific deck profile or tips and tricks on building decks or anything like that, please comment below what you want to see, and don't forget to leave this video a like and a comment below to see what you want to see in the future. Once again, thank you guys for watching.